Hello, loves. It's your girl, Reese Reviews. Welcome back home, where today we're going to be discussing Love and Marriage Huntsville, Season 8, Episode 3, New Beefcakes on the Block. So let's get right on into it. The episode starts off with Miss Nell and Melody. They are playing pickleball. Miss Nell is flustered, honey. She is flustered. She can't breathe. She's in cardiac arrest. And she's stating that Mel is throwing just a little bit of shade because she is older than her. And she states, I'm not a mother figure. I'm your spicy auntie. So as Nell is trying to catch her breath and Mel is trying to give her some water to drink, Mel decides to ask her why she didn't come to the podcast. Miss Nell starts off with, well, it's sold out so fast. And like I said in my previous review for episode 1, if Nell wanted to be there, she would have been there. And that's it and that's all. Mel obviously is like, come on now. You could have reached out to me. You could have called me. And then that's when Nell kind of realized, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. And she said that she was kind of shocked at the fact that Mel, was pretty upset and disappointed that she wasn't there. She understands that she needs Mel just as much as Mel needs her and Chris, and she should have been there for Mel for her event. So she does apologize and that she wasn't able to make it. She then goes on to ask Melody what happened with the whole Martell getting arrested thing. Mel goes on to explain to her that he sent her a text message back in 2022 threatening to release a tape of them being intimate as a way to pretty much embarrass her. She said that she kind of shrugged it off until she was in Houston in 2023 and she heard the baby mama saying that she had a copy of it and she had showed it to her sister. She felt like at that point it was getting really serious. She found out that he really was going to leak it because she remembers in that text message, that picture that he sent, he actually scribbled out his private area so that he could make it seem like she was with another man. And so she went to the magistrate and the magistrate filed a warrant. She states that she believes in divine timing. And so she didn't give them his location. They were going to pick him up whenever they did, and they just so happened to do it. Miss Nell said that she really doesn't agree with black men being arrested. And Mel is like, pretty much, I don't believe in, somebody's intimate tapes getting leaked. A mother, and she was like, I understand that. She said, I feel that way about, black men getting arrested due to what happened with my son. And Mel said that she could understand where Nell is coming from. But Nell also does state that after you've explained to me, now that you've explained to me what actually happened, I can't fault you for what you did. So Nell then asks Melody, did she watch the interview that Martell had with the blogger? She says that she did not watch it. She couldn't stomach to watch it, but she does know that it backfired on him and it did not have the effect that he thought it was going to have. And Nell says that she could relate to family members outing her in the blogs. So she's actually speaking about her stepdaughter, Lexi, who was on last season. And in last season, they had a really big blow-up dinner scene. And since then, Lexi has been going to the blogs, talking about Nell, referring to Nell as a side chick. Her mom, Lexi's mom, is also referring to Nell as a side chick. And Lexi had a lot of things in her interview that were incorrect, that were not true. Nell states that she did not know that Chris was married when they met, and she was not a side chick. She also states that Lexi never stated that Chris was in fact separated and going through a divorce when they met as well. So my question to Nell would be, okay, so after you found out that he was married, be it separated and going through a divorce, did you continue your relationship because he was going through a divorce, or did you stop seeing him altogether until the dissolution of marriage was signed? If you were still dating him while he was going through the divorce, then you're still a side chick. So which one is it? Did you still date him while he was going through the divorce? Or did you wait? Did you break up and wait until he was actually divorced before you started to date him? Inquiring minds would love to know. Meldon says she didn't know that her asking Nell why she didn't show up to the podcast would lead to all this conversation, but she's glad that it happened. She also states that she's going to go ahead and follow up with Tisha and Kimmy to find out why they didn't come either. Miss Nell says, well, they probably have a reason why they didn't come. And Mel says, well, I'm going to talk to them and see what's going on about that. So now we're on to the next scene. In the next scene, we see Stormy, and we're introduced to Latricia. Trish, as Stormy calls her, is Stormy's old friend, and she actually used to be Stormy's client when Stormy used to do hair. Stormy asks Trish to turn around, and she takes a good look at her body. She states that Trish gives her motivation because her body's tea, pretty much, and she states that she's definitely a motivation because she's been going to the gym real hard to pretty much look like Trish. So they sit down to chop it up, and Trish tells her that she actually ran into Destiny at the gym, and Destiny was with Tisha. She then stated that Tisha had asked if she could train her and to text her, which she hadn't done so as yet. Reason being, she wanted to kind of test the temperature. Since her and Stormy are friends, she kind of knows that Tisha and Stormy don't really have a friendship and a relationship. She kind of wanted to know about it. So Stormy goes on to tell her, you know what? I actually think she'll be your type of vibe, especially if you're training her. She then states that, there are definitely some reasons that are justified as to why Tisha and her don't really see eye to eye. I mean, she did call Marceau the B word, and she still feels like Marceau is the B word. So she can't really be or feel a way that Tisha and her are not really rocking. She states that she thinks everything will be cool as long as, she's just training her, and that Tisha is a cool person. Only thing is that Marceau gets into the way of relationships with Tisha. He did so with Mel, and he did it with Stormy, and now Stormy believes that this is a pattern for Marceau, basically getting in the way of Tisha's friendships with her and other females. So Trish says that she's going to go ahead and contact Tisha so that she could start to train her. They also talk about motherhood. Stormy was explaining to her that, she always wanted to have a baby, and when she used to be doing hair, she used to tell her all the time how much she wanted to have a child, and Trish could recall those times when Stormy really wanted to have a baby. So now that Chaz is here, she's saying Chaz is of age. She's so excited to watch him grow, and her and Courtney are going to go into surrogacy for the next baby because of what she went through prior to with her hemorrhaging. Stormy then asks Trish what was going on with her and her boyfriend Ken. Trish apparently used to be married to someone that Stormy refers to as Mr. and states that, from what she's heard about him, he wasn't really that nice to Trish, but there's something different about her. And the aura is so great around her now that she is with Ken. She goes on to say that, Ken and her seem to be equally yoked, in which Trish definitely agrees. Trish does see a future with Ken. At first, she wasn't really trying to get married again, and the thought of getting married again really scares her, but being with Ken has changed her mind. Trish also was stating in this part of the episode that she be going to the gym sometimes more than twice a day. She has a lot of rage, a lot of anger, and that's what prompted her to start going to the gym kind of as a release, and it just stuck with her, and she's been a gym enthusiast ever since. Ken is also a gym enthusiast, and they basically work out all the time, and they motivate each other. So they definitely laughed and were excited in regards to the wedding bells. So that was our introduction to Trish. So in the next scene, we have Stormy and Courtney. They are going to go look for another car. Courtney's looking for something a little bit more classic that he can kind of make his own. So as they're touring around, they take a look at these cars, and Stormy is convinced that the Lincoln was named after Abraham Lincoln. Every season always needs its chicken of the sea Jessica Simpson moment. And yeah, tonight was the night. Tonight was the night. So moving right along, as they're going through and taking a look at these cars, the one that Courtney picks out, Stormy's not really feeling it. She says it doesn't really look cute, and it doesn't give her baby making backseat vibes. And he tells her it will when he gets done with it. She goes into then speaking about the surrogate, and Courtney seems to be a little thrilled about the topic because obviously they're looking at cars and she's talking about surrogacy, and she keeps saying that he keeps like looking real tense whenever she brings it up, but she's convinced that by the time they start the process, he's going to be smiling from ear to ear. Stormy then says that she's like a little bit nervous about it because the surrogate could basically be sleeping with somebody while there's a baby in her belly, their baby in her belly. And so which Courtney's like, well, I mean, I'm pretty sure we could draft up like some type of contract. And then she was like, yeah, but how will we know? And he's like, yeah, we wouldn't know unless you get an STD or something. And then Stormy was like, yeah, what if that happens? And he's like, well, that's why we need to talk to, the coordinator and get everything situated. Stormy then goes on to say that, what she's going to miss about not really being pregnant is the bonding experience after the baby's born. When Chaz was born, she was able to breastfeed, and she loved that bonding that she had with the baby. And Courtney was like, yeah, but only you could feed the baby. And she's like, yeah, but you got a lot of sleep. And he's like, I don't care about the sleep. You would be the only one to feed the baby. And she's like, well, did you want to feed the baby? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, oh my God, that's so sweet. You want to feed the baby? And he's just laughing at her like, oh my God, like, go ahead, girl. So he basically says that he wants to do another boy. Right now they have a female embryo. So she said that she wants to get some more embryos before she gets older, get the embryos pretty much done, because they just have a girl. And he said, well, she may be the one. And then Stormy says, but she also may not. So long story short, they're going to have the baby. He's going to get the car and everything's going to be well. Let's move on to the next scene. In this next scene, we're introduced again to Latricia, but now we see her boyfriend, Ken. Latricia basically states that she has 2 children from a previous relationship, one 18 and one 10, a boy and a girl. Ken states that he has a daughter who is going to be turning 13 that is not biologically his, but is his daughter. And they are both hoping, in Latricia's words, that there'll be a blended family soon. They're both getting ready to go to the gym, and he states that he wants to kind of work on his lower body, the rep count of 30 that she does. And it looks like they really take health and fitness very, very, very seriously. Trisha explains that she had spoken to Stormy about training Letitia. She states that, she's been hearing things about drama. She's not really into that because she doesn't start drama, but she damn sure will finish it. And Ken is basically level-headed with it. He's just like, listen, we all have skeletons and demons in our closet. Trisha says that she has to put hers in 2 separate closets. So then he basically is like, just don't talk to this person about that person and that person about the other person. Just don't do that. And you should be straight. And she's like, yeah, I'm going to definitely, reach out to her. And I don't really know her, but I'm going to reach out to her and train her. They start talking about, getting married, and he wanted to know what Stormy thought about him. And she said, well, we really spoke about the change in me now that I'm dating you. And, she's really excited about the changes, and he was like, okay, so is she going to be a part of the wedding? And that's where we find out that Trish was actually a part of Stormy's wedding. But she says, yeah, of course. I mean, I was a part of hers. So yeah, that's definitely not a question. He states that they've been pretty much keeping their relationship under wraps because she had been with her ex-partner for a very, very long time, and she didn't want, people really in her business. But when he pops the question, he wants the whole entire world to know. She states that when he pops the question, he wants to have an elaborate wedding. He's stating that they might have over 100 bridesmaids and 100 groomsmen because he know a lot of people. And she's like, if he pops the question, then yeah, I'm going to go above and beyond for this wedding. Her last marriage didn't work, and she's really confident that this one will. So she's going to go above and beyond and have the wedding of his dreams whenever he pops the question. Moving on to the next. In this final scene, we see Mel. She is at a plant place, and she is looking forward to meeting up with Tisha and Kimmy. Kimmy walks in and they embrace, and Kimmy is glad to see Mel and says, oh, I like that swoop. Tisha comes in and she's like, do we have the old Mel back? I see that swoop, the blonde swoop. And they're just excited. They're hugging each other. They have not seen each other in a few months. So they sit down and they start to working on their plant projects. And they kind of go over what was going on in the time that they haven't seen each other. Tisha relays that her and the entire family went to South Africa. And Kimmy's like, Marceau and the family went. So Mel is like, oh, okay, so Kimmy want to let everybody know that Marceau didn't go by himself again this time. The whole family did go. Kimmy says that unfortunately she was not able to go on vacation because her mom was diagnosed with breast cancer back in November. And so she had to take care of her mom, get her mom all situated. Her mom is doing a lot better and is back at home. Mel expresses her sympathies because she really does love Kimmy's mama. And it's so sad to see that both of them have gone through breast cancer in such a short time from each other. That's so scary. And I'm glad to hear that her mom is doing a lot better. Tisha then goes on to say, well, how was the year going for you? How was everything? It seems like, things have been busy. A lot has been going on for you. And Mel is like, yes. Tisha brings up the whole Marcel situation and Marcel being arrested and wanting to know what was it about. So this is where Mel is like, you didn't ask your husband? Because he made a statement. And so Mel basically wanted to let her know, your husband says some things. I'm going to be speaking to your husband. She did say that it was not Tisha's fight, but she did want Tisha to know that she's going to be checking her husband. Tisha basically said that Marceau told her that they didn't show everything. And so she explained why, again, she had charges pressed against Martel for the harassment and communications. I'm not going to go through that whole story again because it'll be repeating the same thing several times. I pretty much explained it in the beginning of my review. So I won't be explaining again, but after that was done, Tisha says, it seems like there's no hope for him. Kimmy then goes on to say in confessional that now that she's explained why she did what she did, it makes complete sense to her, way more sense than she gave Mel credit for. So this is where Mel wants to know why Tisha hadn't reached out to her. And Tisha just doesn't know when the right time is to reach out to Mel. And Mel says, well, I've reached out to you. And, when things are going on with you and in your marriage, I tell people I don't have anything to say. I want to stay out of it. It's not my business. And Kimmy then says, well, I understand that, but I've reached out. And Mel's like, no, you texted me. You didn't call me. And Kimmy's like, yeah, I did call you and your mailbox was full. And I wrote that in the text message that your mailbox was full. And I'm just checking on you. She's like, oh, my bad. I didn't see that. Tisha pretty much goes, you know what? You're right. We have been in a different space for the past couple of months. We're supposed to be moving forward. You have been taking steps towards the betterment of our relationship. So I'm going to go ahead and oblige and do the same. I'm sorry. So she did apologize to Mel about, not really checking up on her and getting back to a better place. And you can actually see that Mel wants to be in a friendship with both Kimmy and Tisha. And so here's where we come to the podcast situation. Mom wants to know why they didn't come to podcast. And Tisha's like, I wasn't invited. She's like, oh, so you needed to be invited to be at the podcast? And Tisha's like, yes, I did not get a personal invite. Tisha then goes on to explain that in order for her to attend any of Mel's events, she would have to get a specific invitation from Mel or she's not coming. The last time she showed up at an event from Mel, she was escorted out. And that was very embarrassing, and she does not want to go through that again. So in order for her to show up, she feels like she has to be personally invited. And I 100% agree with her. Tisha's not wrong in this instance. And Mel, come on now. You know the situation between you and Tisha. You know the ups and the downs that you guys both have had. And for you to think that her coming without being invited would be something that she would do, granted she would have to purchase a ticket to come to that event, absolutely not. I don't blame Tisha for not coming. Kimmy then says, well, I didn't come because most of your supporters, basically the mellometers, she didn't say the word mellometers, nor did she had to, because Mel definitely brought up the word mellometer. But she said, you know, some of your fans that ride for you and support you, they are mean to us. And it is a fact. They are. They find every excuse in the book to down Kimmy and to down Tisha. And yeah, it's there's no allegedly on that. It's not everybody. And that I will clarify. It's not everybody, but there's a lot of mellometers, a lot of vocal mellometers that do not like Kimmy or Tisha. And Mel tries to excuse it. And again, Mel, you shouldn't be surprised that these ladies are not coming. Well, Kimmy also explains that she was told that the energy at the podcast was, you know, very negative. Mel was like, well, who told you that? And they said Sonny told them that. And Mel says, well, Sonny told you that? Okay, well, let me explain. The shift was in regards to Sonny because of the whole her and Destiny thing. And then she goes on to, I feel like Moses basically didn't really say anything to Destiny about the situation, and maybe either you and or Moses needs to sit down and have a conversation with Destiny. So that's where that was coming from. And so Kimmy's like, well, yeah, I mean, I get that. But what I'm also saying is what in regards to me, if we were there, then that energy would have shifted and it would have been negative because of us. And I mean, come on now. You have to realize that, yes, that is 100% accurate. Mel, like, come on. If people do not like Tisha and Kimmy at your event, anything to shade them, they would have done. The fact that they weren't there took heat off of them in the situation. Definitely 100% took heat off of them. And now the consensus is, oh, they don't like Mel because they didn't even show up for her event. But had they been there, oh, these hating hoes are only there so they could try to gain clout off of Mel. Either way, it would have been a lose-lose situation. And they took themselves out of the equation by pretty much not being there. Now, to continue on, they basically said, well, they told Sonny the same thing about the situation and how everything transpired. They go on to say that they feel like in this situation, Sonny broke girl code in regards to Destiny. And Mel starts to laugh. And they're like, what's going on? And she's like, Destiny and girl code? And Kimmy's like, well, isn't that your friend? And she said, she was my friend. And she said, well, you acted like she slept with your man or something. And she said, I don't know what Destiny does because I'm not her friend. She just thinks it's funny that a girl code would be brought up with Destiny's name. And I feel like it's because she felt like girl code was kind of broken because of what Destiny did to her in regards to picking a side. Now that she's seen the whole extent and breakdown of what has happened since Marcel has been arrested, loyalty is very important to her. And she could spot the real from the fake immediately now. And so that was the ending of the scene. So with that being said, I feel like this episode was kind of more like a filler. I'm excited to see what's going to happen next week because it looks like it's going to be a little bit more spicy, a lot spicier because this was very, very, very mild. This episode was mid. Again, it felt like a filler episode. So I'm hoping that the next one is amazing. What did you guys think about this episode? Did you like it? Are you liking the introduction of Latricia and Ken? Do you feel like Latricia and Ken are going to be a great asset to the show? Let me know what you think. Leave some comments. Let's talk down below. Like this video and subscribe for more content. Thank you guys so much for watching. Till next time. Bye.